Welcome to Rise Like a Lion podcast. I'm Ari, and today we're here with Dr. Robert Edelman, who is an inspiration in the gym, not just to myself, but to plenty of people. I find that Rob looks much younger than he is. Rob, why don't you tell the audience how old you are?
Almost 90. I'll be 90 in 2 months.
In 2 months, 90. And you don't look a day over 70.
Okay.
You're looking good, going
Follow
strong.
the eyes of the viewer. Okay.
I want to get to know. We're gonna get to know Rob a little bit, as well as go into your fitness journey and just your overall journey.
Okay.
Let's start with you. Where you're from, Rob?
Born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Midwest boy.
And you did not grow up from, correct?
I grew up very Reform.
Reform. Okay.
I went to Temple, United Hebrew Temple, twice a year, once on Yom Kippur, once on Rosh Hashanah, to the point where my mother asked me, how come I got so religious? I went twice a year. I come from a mixed family. My father was raised we're from, my ancestors were Eastern European, from the Ukraine, Poland area. I know exactly where I came from because I happen to trace my family roots back to 1767.
Whoa.
In the Western Ukraine.
Whoa.
And I know exactly and I know exactly the names of all my progeny, my male progeny, and their names, and some of the names of my great grandchildren and grandfather and grandmother.
Was that something you discovered or your family discovered?
It was a member of my family decided to do an ancestry search, and they found this out. My son did a DNA, and we're essentially 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. So getting back to St. Louis, I loved being in St. Louis. I grew up in a very, very modest family. My father, we never had a car till I was in my teens. We used to take a bus everywhere, hitchhike everywhere. I hitchhiked to high school every day. I walked 4 blocks, and I hitchhiked to high school, and I hitchhiked home. Usually the same people picked me up. They got to know me, and they came by at the same time, but not always.
So you went by yourself or you went with siblings?
Always by myself.
You have any siblings?
Sorry?
You have any siblings?
I have a brother who was 7 years younger than me, but he recently died. Oh. I can tell you, he's a very interesting fellow. I'll tell you about him later. He was a very major factor in the U.S. government. He was American ambassador to the Cameroon. He was in charge of the U.S. Agency for International Development for the continent of Africa. He was the youngest budget director in the history of the state of Missouri at the age of 29.
Wow.
So he's quite a guy. He unfortunately passed away in this past April at the age of 82.
Wow. He lived here in Maryland also?
He lived in Rockville.
Rockville.
Right.
So how did you guys transition from Missouri? Did he go straight from St. Louis to Maryland? Or
no. He drove to St. Louis, and he also graduated high school like I did, University City, Clayton High School. Then we transferred to University City High School.
Which is where?
That's a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
And at University City High School, we moved into U-City from a modest home in Clayton, Missouri, where I went to Clayton High till I was in my junior year, where I was hitchhiking. Mm-hmm. And then finally we moved into a home that I could walk to school, which was about a quarter of a mile. It was nothing for me.
And, so what brought you to Maryland? I want to see that transition. You went from, so when did you leave Missouri, and where did you go next?
Well, I just want to say that I went to Washington University in St. Louis.
Oh, in St. Louis.
Undergraduate school.
Not Washington here.
Washington University in St. Louis.
Okay.
And then I went to medical school.
Right, Dr. Edelman.
That's right.
What'd you go for? What kind of doctor?
MD degree.
MD.
The School of Medicine at the University of Maryland.
And you still go to the University of Maryland now?
I misspoke. MD degree at the University, at Washington University.
Right.
And eventually, we moved, my wife and I got married in 1958. Make a long story short, Marge and I have been married for 68 years.
Wow.
During that time, we've accumulated a very large family of very devoted children and grandchildren.
Can I know?
Over the years.
Are you a great-great-grandfather yet?
Yes, I'm not a great. I'm a great grandfather. I'm a grandfather 24 times. I'm a great grandfather 66 times. So I have 66 great grandchildren.
Wow.
The oldest is 19.
All right,
So
getting there. You're getting to be great.
Great. I'm getting there.
On your way.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I like to see that day. It's one of the reasons I'm working out here. Because I want to get there.
Keep going. Inspiration. So, okay. So you finished up in University of Washington.
No, Washington University.
Washington University, sorry.
Yeah, people get it mixed up. It's called Washington University in St. Louis.
Okay,
That's what
in
they
St.
call
Louis.
It, in St. Louis.
Got it.
It's a top-ranked school. I loved going to school there, and I had many awards, academic awards. I was graduated cum laude from.
What does that mean?
Which means with laudations. You have to have a certain grade point.
Uh-huh.
So I was a pretty smart kid. I became, just backing up a minute, I sound like I'm bragging, but this is part of the history.
Yeah.
In Clayton, in University City High School, where I started as a senior year, I became president of the class, the senior class. I was elected for an unusual reason. I had a hobby of American Indian lore from the Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout, but after I graduated from being an Eagle Scout, I went into American Indian lore. And I made my own Indian costume, and we used to dance at powwows.
How'd you get into that?
I loved it. I mean, I loved Indian dancing, and I made.
So they elect you president because of that?
Well, I had a very unusual hobby, and I used to dance Indian dance at the teen club in University City for the teens when I was a senior in high school.
But how'd that translate into being the president of your class?
I got to be well known, and one of my friends that I found there, he says, I think I want to have you run for the president of the class. I was running against two other people who were very well known, who raised in University City. But I had a name, and I was called Indian Bob or something like that. And
Indian Rob.
Indian Rob. At that time, I was Bob. I wasn't Rob.
Really?
Yeah, I was Bob.
Okay.
Make a long story short, there's a whole story with all of that.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm sure you have plenty of big time stories.
A lot of stories. You don't have enough time for all this.
Yeah, we don't have enough time. So we're going to try to keep it as abridged as possible. So so you finished med school.
Then I went to, then I came to Baltimore.
So right after med school to Baltimore, you're married already also.
I got married just before I entered medical school.
Before I entered, okay. Got married and then came to Baltimore. What brought you to Baltimore? What was it, Baltimore?
Johns Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins. Okay.
I became in the Department of Ward Medicine in Johns Hopkins. It was a very nice position for postgraduate medical education. So I served here for 2 years at Johns Hopkins Hospital.
And what did that entail? Like what kind of...
Well, the first year I served was a pathology internship. I did autopsies.
Oh, really?
I had 62 autopsies.
Wow.
And I learned a lot of medicine.
And the autopsies are...
Autopsy is where you dissect a dead person.
Right, and that was for like you want to see how they died?
Exactly right. We want to see how they died. And what's the interior, where the organs show, and you learn a lot of medicine that way.
Were there any criminal related cases?
Criminal cases usually go to the, there's a regular division of criminal pathologists who are sent these cases. At the university, we didn't get them.
So it wasn't the stuff you see on TV.
No, it wasn't not the stuff you see on TV.
Gotcha.
But along the way, I discovered I want to talk to living people. I discovered doing autopsies.
So how long do you do that for?
Then I became in a residency in internal medicine at Johns Hopkins. Second year.
And that entails what?
And entails in the ward, I admitted patients. It was on 24 hours a day. 30 days in a row, and we had people that...
So you didn't leave the hospital?
I left the hospital to go home to sleep for about 4 to 6 hours.
And you were on call those 4 to 6
I was on call all the time, and we switched. I was on with a second resident.
What, you just worked 30 days a year?
30 days a month, and I went to I went to another service.
Wow, that's intense.
Very intense. It's very intense learning. That's how we learned a lot of medicine. At the Hopkins, was very famous for that. Very intensive, in-depth. You worked up your patients at 2 in the morning, if necessary, after their admissions. time, 24 hours there's no such thing as day or night. And you learn to live with it. You got sleepless nights, and then you went home when you could to take a nap.
How'd your wife handle all that?
She knew what I was going into. She encouraged me.
What'd your wife do?
She was a mother. And by then we had our first son was born in St. Louis at Washington University.
Mm.
When I was an intern there, resident. And our second son was born in Johns Hopkins Hospital, actually, in the Department of Obstetrics. And our daughter, our third, was born at Case Western Reserve Hospital, later as we were moving on. And then our youngest son, Moshe Yaakov, was born at Walter Reed Hospital. All born in different hospitals because we moved 17 times during my internship and training.
Across Maryland?
Maryland, and we went to Cleveland.
Really?
For a while, Case Western Reserve University.
And you ended up back here?
I ended back here because I was drafted into the Army during Vietnam.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
So I was drafted into, after we call it a postgraduate fellowship, medical fellowship, after my internships and residency programs. I was drafted at the late age of, I guess I was around 28 or 29, I was drafted into the U.S. Army. They told me I wouldn't have to be drafted unless there was a state of war. Well, Vietnam was going on at the time.
Uh-huh.
And although it wasn't, quote, a state of war, as far as the Army was concerned, I was eligible to be drafted. I was drafted. And I really got lucky because I had some research background at Case Western Reserve, and they assigned me to the Surgeon General's office for 2 years, working there where I encouraged research. I contracted with researchers for almost 2 years all over the world.
For the Army?
For the Army. I traveled all over the world.
Where to?
South America, Central America, the Caribbean, all over the United States.
And that was all for research? What are you researching?
All for research. We were researching infectious disease, things like particularly malaria, dengue fever, all spread by mosquitoes. Most of it spread by mosquitoes.
And what tied to the Army? Like, why?
Because the Army has a program of research in diseases that are found in the tropics because we station our soldiers in the tropics.
So they have to know how to handle
and
whatever
we have
disease.
to know how to handle and prevent these diseases because it causes, it results in soldiers being unable to perform their duties.
Interesting.
And we're trying to reduce that downtime for the soldiers.
So during this whole time, the Army is funding you?
Or sure. For the first time, I got a reasonable salary for the first time. Look at when I was in.
Oh, before that, you weren't really getting paid?
I was getting paid, but it only didn't pay for very much. I had to borrow money from my parents.
Wow.
At the end of the month.
You're saying why? Because that was all part of an internship? Is that what it was?
Internship and residency. I didn't get paid much at Hopkins. Hopkins paid less than it took me to live there. Wow. They required me to live right near Hopkins because I had to be able to walk instantaneously to the ward from my little hostel house where I was living with my wife.
Wow.
And my youngest son. And
my oldest son.
My oldest son.
Right.
My oldest son. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay. I didn't trace this all in years. It would have been clear if I traced the year, but we're skipping around a bit.
Yeah, we're going back.
We're going back and forth.
It's all interesting. Whatever order it comes.
So then I was offered, by then in Washington, when I was stationed for the Surgeon General's office, I was offered by the Surgeon General's office an opportunity to get one of the unique placement for the military physicians in the United States, in the U.S. Army or Navy or anywhere. It's called the Overseas Research Unit of the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. And we were stationed in Bangkok, Thailand. And we lived for 3.5 years in Bangkok, Thailand.
Any Jews
my
around
wife,
there at
by
that
that time we had 4 children.
Any Jews around there at the time? No.
We had a Jewish community in Bangkok.
Really?
It was mostly Sephardic Jews who were their jewelers, and they'd been there for 1917.
Wow.
And they had lived there, and they kept their identity. Sephardic Jews are very traditional, and we had a Jewish community. They had a mikveh, they had a community center which we didn't have, it wasn't Orthodox. It was really for Shabbos, for
So,
travelers.
well, let me ask then, when did you become religious from?
We became religious after we spent 3.5 years in Bangkok. We had an opportunity to serve the U.S. Army Institute of Infectious Diseases.
Right.
They were doing vaccines against biological terror agents, anthrax, for example, of that, cholera, for that. We did a lot of research to develop vaccines at that institute. It's in Frederick, Maryland, the Institute of Infectious Diseases. And I was assigned there, and that's where everything in our Jewish life changed, because we became part of the Jewish community in Frederick
So this came after
after serving in Thailand.
Thailand. So right after Thailand, you came back to Maryland, moved to Frederick.
Yes. And we became active in the Jewish community in Frederick.
Right. I know you have a, what's the name of the camp?
Oh, this is another story, Camp Shorish.
That's in Frederick, no?
It was in Frederick. It started in Frederick. That has a story. Everything is a story unto itself. You don't have enough time to hear all
All right,
this.
give me the fun, important stuff. It's all important. The fun.
Well, we in Thailand, I learned to meditate. We joined a meditation group. We had a teacher who was a Buddhist nun who came from Cleveland Heights, Ohio. She was Jewish.
Really?
Yes. She'd spent time in Japan learning Zen Buddhist, learning how to meditate. Meditation is fundamental to the perfection of the mind, the elimination of hatred and fear, and allow you to live a life of awareness of everything that goes on around you. It's called mindfulness.
And a lot of people ask me to ask you about this. I was going to ask you anyway. They want to know about your meditation. Rob gets asked a lot of times, how do you look so young? How are you still going? How are you still able to move? How are you still able, right?
If I had to guess, people ask me that.
Right.
I figure there's 2-3 things that account for this.
Right.
Number one, I picked my parents very carefully.
There you go. Good job.
I did a good job with them, and Mom was NIFTR when she was 98. Dad was NIFTR when he was 97. So that helps. I had a good gene pool behind
For sure.
me. Okay. Number two was the fact that I did work out on a daily basis, just to keep aerobic kind of stuff. And 3, I meditated daily.
Right.
This was very important because your mind is closely connected to your physical well-being. For example, when I used to get terribly airsick when I took in an airplane, okay? I just was motion sick. I got it all the time. I discovered in Bangkok, I used to fly from Bangkok up country to Chiang Mai to do research up in Chiang Mai, at Chiang Mai University, and for the U.S. Army. It's a long story. We did research in nutrition and the effect of nutrition on immune response to infectious agents, okay? Did a lot of that.
Okay.
I discovered after I began to meditate with this group, used to meditate minimum 30 minutes every morning, and I went up to an hour every morning after a while.
Do you still do that?
I still meditate 35 minutes every morning since 1972.
Wow.
I've been doing it for 50 years.
Wow.
And I think that has a great effect.
Is that like the first thing you do in the morning?
Before I do anything, I meditate. Because once my day starts, I have a harder time focusing on my breathing. You need a meditation subject, and it's my breathing that I breathe and I meditate. That's part of the Buddhist training. But to make a long story short, that kind of meditation was good for my mind, and it's good for my marriage.
Love that.
Because it was being shalom bias. You don't get upset with your wife as much.
Really?
Yes. She also tried meditation. She was successful with it, so she's a very active lady, and she found yoga was her answer.
Okay.
To the point where she became a yoga instructor eventually.
Really?
She taught yoga when we moved back to Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah. She's very agile. And yoga is a form of meditation where you focus on your movements of your body as a subject to calm your mind.
Interesting.
That's what yoga does.
So for 35 minutes, what you set like a timer, you just close your eyes and you
A
just.
timer, I originally found to keep my eyes open focused on one thing, on a crack in the floor,
You're doing the same spot every day?
every day. So I meditate. Once I
What
settle
time in the
into
morning?
that set, well, when I get up, any between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning, I meditate for 30, 35 minutes. And I find, why not 30? I can do 30, but I found the extra 5 minutes for me is where I really settled into the moment. My mind became calmer during those last 5 minutes. And I was able to focus on my subject, which was my breathing, for at least 20, 30 seconds. People don't realize this, but your mind, you're in a fight with your mind. Normally, your mind does not like to be controlled like that. Your mind will do anything to keep you from focusing on your breathing. Wow. It'll cause, my bottom of my foot itches. Oh, what am I going to have for breakfast? Oh, it sits up. Why is my wife so concerned about this? And well, my kid's fetching. You've got to get over that. And you do that for focusing on your breathing, bringing it back to your mind. Slowly but surely, over 30 minutes, my mind's calmed down to the point where I find that when I used to go in an airplane, I used to go up country on these turboprops, Army turboprops. I found if I meditated in the plane for 20 minutes before I took off, I did not get airsick. I was astounded by that discovery.
So you think that air sickness is around anxiety, kind of nervousness?
It's more than that. The middle ear causes the air sickness, the bumping and whatnot. And by breathing and slowing your mind, calming your mind, it's connected to the middle ear in some way. And for some reason, it didn't trigger my air sick. I found out if I didn't start till after I took off and we were on the way, it didn't work.
That's wild.
I had to start before we took off.
So you really see how it works.
I really see how it works. Absolutely. Oh, and there's no question about it.
Wow. So when you say focus on your breathing, that's what you're doing for a half hour straight, 35 minutes straight?
35 minutes straight.
And what does that entail? You're just thinking about the air coming
in. 1, out, 2. In, out. If you do it through your nose, it's better. In, out, 2. In, 1, out, 2.
And that's just for 30 minutes straight, just like that?
30 minutes straight. As you find it's extraordinarily difficult at the beginning to do it. Your mind does not like to do that.
Yeah.
I found something very interesting, Ari. I found it's calmed my mind, but I needed something more spiritual in my life. Honestly, I needed more God in my life, okay, if you want to put it in lay terms. And I wasn't sure how this meditation really would mesh with finding God in my life. So as soon as I got to Frederick, I got a hold of a book. It was written by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan. It's called Jewish Meditation. And I read the book and I was absolutely astounded to discover that according to his narrative in his book, Jews have been meditating for 3,000 years. 3,000 years in the schools of prophecy. What are schools of prophecy? The prophets had schools in which they trained the mind to calm and realize what was going on in the moment. Why? Because you had to have a calm, serene mind in order to receive prophecy from God. If you're upset or you're in another world somehow mentally, you have to be at the moment. Prophecy did not occur. The only one we know who was able to do that without a calm mind, as we know it, was Moshe Rabbeinu. He was able to see God with his eyes wide open. No one else was able to do that. Everyone else had to be either sleeping or following a meditation experience. Oh, yeah. He was unique. He could talk to God in a moment. That's what made him so unique. Now, some of them were very skilled at meditating, and they were able to receive the prophecies very, very quickly. There was tens of thousands of prophets in Jewish history, but we have only recorded about 15 of them, 20 of them. Shmuel, Daniel, Zechariah, you name them, okay? Jeremiah, Isaiah, okay? And we think that our forefathers also, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob also meditated, okay? So this is a prophecy this was a mind skill that was necessary to receive prophecy. And I was absolutely stunned to read that. And I said, well, wait a minute. I'm not doing something far out, far east. This is part of Jewish tradition.
That's so interesting because it's not discussed or taught really anywhere.
It is not, because in the year 5, around 250, the men of the Great Assembly. You've ever heard of the men of the Great Assembly?
Oh, no. I'm
You
not good
teach
at
a little
history.
Jewish history. The men of the Jewish Assembly decided to stop the general teaching of meditation because it led to powerful control of one people's mind over other people's mind. Oh, there's weird stuff going on with this. People are able to control other people's minds and the physical environment with their mind.
Do you feel like you can do that?
No. No.
So, and because ever since that happened,
Then
it's
they
just-
said the only way we're going to learn this is through one teacher is going to have to find one pupil. And there's going to be no mass classes in meditation, like in prophetic schools.
Interesting.
So where did it wind up? In Kabbalah. When you taught Kabbalah, one person, one Rebbe and one student, they taught meditation to that very select student.
Interesting.
And there's a book written by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan called Meditation and Kabbalah,
So is there anything?
which I read and I didn't understand any of it.
So is there anything officially wrong with meditation, halachically?
No. It's just we've never done it, and it's weirdo. It's considered to be
Right.
out somewhere that we just don't do things like that.
But
But,
you
I'll
know-
tell you something
yeah.
else interesting.
Yeah.
In the book Jewish Meditation, the men of they developed Shemona Esrei, right? You know how long it took them to do Shemona Esrei in the old days?
No clue.
7 seconds per word. It took them an hour and a half to do Shemona Esrei. Why? Because they used each word in Shemona Esrei as a subject of meditation. It was built to provide, instead of breathing, the subject of the words became a meditative vehicle for them.
Interesting.
Interesting? You bet. We don't have those sitzfliss to do that anymore.
Oh no.
But you do know, if you read in the tractate in the Gemara, which I've done recently, in either Shabbat or in Brachos, you see these men, the Hasidim, go out into the woods for an hour and meditate before they daven. This is where they get it from the men of the Great Assembly, from rabbi to student.
Would you consider yourself someone that wasn't so focused before meditating?
I was pretty calm before.
Do you feel
found it
like
easy.
someone needs to be in that mindset in order to get into that meditative state?
I don't know. I can't answer your question. It varies upon the people. Some people were not, like my lovely wife. She
She's
had to
good
do
at it.
yoga. She was not successful in doing it. If you have ADD,
Yeah.
attention deficit disorder,
Yeah.
you're going to have a great deal of trouble with it.
That's
So
what I think.
that's where yoga comes in. That's where yoga,
So your wife has ADD?
oh yeah, just like you do.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you've got it.
Oh yeah, I do.
So, but
it's like when
you-
I think about having to do what you're telling me to do, it's tremendously challenging.
Absolutely. You wouldn't be successful at it and you would give up at it. That's my experience.
I can see that.
But there
happening.
is, now yoga is supposed to be an Eastern tradition, right? I'm not sure that it is. If you read Aryeh Kaplan's Kabbalah, Meditation Kabbalah, he discusses the fact that a yoga practice can be traced back to ancient times. I like to read that. I can't talk about it very much because I haven't read about it very much. But even yoga is a meditative experience, and it was replaced by Shemona Esrei. It took an hour and a half to do Shemona Esrei.
Wow.
That's when guys had the time to do that. Nowadays, our lives are so hectic. We go through chakras in 30 minutes. We think we're wasting our time if we're
Yeah.
not 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, I think there are some. I try to. It's very difficult for me to get in the right mindset for chakras
Yeah.
in general. Like I there's a lot of going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
I get guilty. I feel guilty about that a lot. I try to think about how, okay, at least I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, at least
Yes.
I'm here. I'm showing up. There are
Yes.
people that, don't
And
show
some
up.
days are better than other
Right.
days. I still
for
find
sure.
it, even with my meditation before I daven, I find it very difficult to maintain on subject, on the words. What do the words mean that I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't pay attention to any words I say.
yeah.
No matter how hard I try. Oh, I shouldn't say that. If I try really hard, I can probably get a few words together here and there. Overall, it's a very difficult experience.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to learn. You have to. One of the drills is to learn what the words really mean.
Right.
You have to examine that in detail.
Right.
There's plenty written on that. You just have to go into the depth on what these words mean.
For sure. I
It is
started
in,
doing that,
It's
but
in the Gemara. It's there.
yeah, I stopped doing that. I started and then I stopped, but I should probably get back on it. Not a bad
Again, those
idea.
words form the basis of a meditative subject.
Interesting.
Interesting. I thought it was
So,
fascinating.
and you feel like this all ties into you being able to perform at such a higher age.
I think it helped my physical well-being, no question about it. This business about the air sickness is one example.
Right.
But it allowed me to stay at a physical exercise longer. I didn't become discouraged with it as soon as I probably should have, given my age. And I think I attribute part of my long-lastingness, I already told you, to my genetic inheritance from my parents.
Right.
But also from the meditation, which helps that. Plus, I find when I work out aerobics, repeated movement, like on an exercise bike, that's a meditative experience. That's just like doing yoga. Movement. So that when you do that for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of exercise, I try to do that when I'm not coming here to the gym and doing more I do isometric kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When I do mostly aerobic stuff just for my heart.
Great.
When you say to warm up, that warming up is a form of meditative experience. It certainly is. It calms you down. At home, when I sit at the computer too long, people always tell me, I can't sit too long on the computer. I get jumpy. I got to get up and walk around. That's very common for people.
It's so funny that you say that. I've been, because thankfully I got a lot going on. We got this gym here. I'm working on a women's gym now. A lot of great things coming. I've been so hectic, like mentally, like all over the place. That to the extent where I felt my workouts kind of falling off. I hired a trainer to keep me intact.
Yes.
And one of the things he had me do, not even being meditative, nothing, just to get my mind right for the set is like slow down. One of the first things he told me was like, dude, you gotta slow down. Like he was watching me work out.
Yes.
I'm like pacing. I'm on my phone checking texts, emails, this, that, whatever. Literally, it's like before I do a set, I close my eyes now, just calm, literally slow my heart rate.
Yes.
And then I'll vamp it up right before the set and then do the set like all energized. But when you say it like that, it's like it's really getting into a meditative state.
I find personally, Ari, when I'm, the days are stressful. Our modern 21st century life is very, very busy. I'm busy with my family, busy with my religious obligations. I didn't tell you this, but I learned Gemara for 3 hours every morning, 6 days a week. I go to a yeshiva for retired men.
That's right. What's it called?
Gevuras Ari.
Gevuras Ari. I like that.
And
Strength of
rise
lion.
like an lion.
Let's go. Let's go.
And I go there and...
You do that every day now?
Huh?
You do that now?
I've been doing it for 2.5 years.
Amazing.
And we learn Gemara. I mean, I don't know Aramaic. I don't know Hebrew. I can't read. I've never been bar mitzvah, Ari. I've never had a bar mitzvah. So I had to start this at a late age.
How
learning
old?
like this. When I started this Gevuras, I was 86, 87 when I first started.
So
I started my meditation and davening when I was 40. I started learning Hebrew when I was 42 years old.
wow.
I didn't know an aleph from a base till I was 42 years old.
And
I learned it in
now you
February.
have no problem reading Hebrew, or
I've got problem. My mind
Slower?
is slow because my mind has never been good with languages, number one. And number two, as I age, my mind doesn't can't remember things as well. And I've got to repeat it many times in order to hold it into my mind. But I find if I exercise, aerobic exercise type, I find it easier to concentrate on things. And I particularly find it easier to sleep.
Me too.
So if you exercise, it takes the stress out of your body.
I also find
I find that I can relax faster.
When did you start working out? I want to touch on your workout journey.
Workout?
Yeah, exercising, working
Exercise.
out.
I remember when I was in my 60s, I used to run a mile and a half.
And that started when
every
you were
day.
60?
In my 60s, yeah.
Before you were 60, did you work out at all?
Yes, I used to run all the time. I used to
All the
do
time.
exercises.
So you're like
I
a
can't remember exactly what it was, but I wasn't idle. I did work, and I used to run around the neighborhood on Westbrook Road, on Falstaff Road, where
Sure.
I used to live. I used to run there in the evenings. Everyone knew who I was. They saw me running around, and the reason I had to stop when I was 69, I stopped because it started hurting my leg. My knees began going bad. And I realized at that time that I was getting arthritis of the knees, post-traumatic arthritis of the knees. So I had to stop the pounding.
Right.
And I
No
discovered
impact.
going on an exercise bike, the
Right.
Answer. Or an elliptical. I bought an elliptical. I was able to do that. And that satisfied my need to run.
Did you ever do weight training before?
Not really. I on the elliptical, I try to speed up to stress myself, but true weight training, I tell you how weight training came. I know the importance of weight training. I've studied about it, and I know about it as a physician. I know that as we age, we have a condition called sarcopenia. It means the loss of muscle mass replaced by fat. And as we age, we notice that our muscle volume goes down. That's called sarcopenia. The only way to stop this, you can't stop it. You can only manage it by slowing it down so it doesn't go down all the way. And the only way to do that is to do
Weight training.
weight training. So my physician, Aaron Goldberg, told me, he says, Bob, because we're very close, he says, Bob, he says, this was back when I was 86, 87. He says, Bob, you got to do some weight training. You've got sarcopenia. He can see it. I mean, I can show the readers in what's happening in my arms.
Yeah.
Right now, my arms are so thin, I can't wear my wristwatch as well.
Really?
They're loose. Even at the closest thing, I'm losing mass in the muscles of my forearm. And only today, as you know, I asked you for weight training for my forearm.
That's correct.
So at least I keep my filling straps up, but
Right.
they're always falling down. Okay?
Right.
And I had to take links out of my metal bracelet for my watch. And now I can't wear my watch anymore. I have to use a cloth link because I can get a smaller band for that.
Wow.
And I need to reverse that. And I've noticed the weakness in my abilities to lift things with my wrist. And that's the reason why we're now going to start working on strengthening my forearm.
Yeah, we're going to put some focus on that.
Focus on that.
You ready for it?
Right. I'm ready. I'm looking forward. I need to
Rob's
do
ready for anything. We call him Rob the Rocket here in the gym. That's right.
Yeah.
He earned that name.
So I realize that all I'm trying to do is maintain myself. I'm trying to reduce.
Right. We're not training. We're not something called. You ever heard progressive overload? It's basically a process of slightly increasing weight over time, so you're getting stronger and stronger. That's not our goal right now. Our goal is more
Maintaining
what you got.
Yes.
Find a good rep range, good strength that you can do, so that you can handle. That's not too strenuous on you.
Yes.
At the same time, still move and
Yes.
feel like you're working those muscles.
Yes.
Keep those muscles working. So the weight training started with me. Is that when it started?
Really, it started with you. Yeah. Formally.
That's by the way, that's a big reason Rob is on the podcast today. I want to highlight how really it's never too late. And it goes both ways, never too early. I think training kids is great. It doesn't have to be weight training, but just some form of
Let me tell you, in my case,
yeah.
my wife belonged to LifeBridge.
Yeah.
She was doing physical therapy at LifeBridge. She has some orthopedic issues. She was doing physical therapy there and was working out there. And I said, look, while you go, babe, I'm going to go with you. I'll take you there. She stopped driving in her 80s, so I'm driving her now. And so I hired a trainer at LifeBridge, and I did some rounds with him. What do you call it? Where you get
A package.
you get a package. So I got 2 packages. I got a package, and I felt it was good. And Aaron Goldberg said, "That's exactly what you need to do." So I started with him, and then LifeBridge was a little bit far away, and Yankel Cohen, who
Yankel, my man. Let's go. Big
Yaakov-
shout out to Yankel Cohen.
yeah, Yaakov Cohen,
He introduced us. He's the man that got you in here. So
yeah,
big,
he
big-
kept nudging me. He says, "You got to go to the line. It's only 7 minutes down the street. Go,
That's right.
go." So when we stopped going to LifeBridge, which is my wife's membership, I stopped my membership there. It was a little bit too much of a schlep from where we live. And so I said, okay, let me try Lion. So I knew I had to continue my workouts. So this is how I wound up in your lap. I wound up over here.
And the workouts we do, are they similar, different?
Very similar to what I had
What you do?
over there at the LifeBridge, and he was very careful not to overexert me.
Right.
Well, the first rule is don't hurt yourself.
Correct. I am not trying to put you out. I'm trying to keep you going.
Which is one of the reasons I've kept up with you, because you're very conscious of what an elderly body needs not to do, and that's to overwork yourself.
correct. I am not trying to build you up to
Yeah.
any certain number at
Exactly.
all.
And-
Another big thing we work on, which I want to point out, is the stability.
Very, very important. I noticed, when I first noticed at LifeBridge, the difference. When I stood up for Shimona Esra, for 3 times a day,
Yeah.
I noticed that I needed to be leaning against the chair in my table where I was davening. Now, I said, I don't want to do that anymore.
And
I want to
that.
have stability where I can stand up by
Exactly.
myself and feel stable.
And now?
Now I can stand up on
for
my
you.
own, and I don't feel I need the chair as
And it's not too late. When do you start doing that?
when I was in my late 80s.
Late 80s. Late 80s. It's not too late. I think so many people are like, I'm ready, I'm done, or whatever. I'm 70, I'm 80, whatever.
No, you've got to keep this up.
Yeah. I
You've
agree.
got to keep. Oh, the other thing I'm trying to avoid, which happened to my wife on 4 occasions, falling.
That's a big stability
This is
factor.
a tremendous, I found very important for elderly, for myself as a model of that. I fell once, and thank God I didn't hurt I went face down, broke my glasses. It was when it was raining and I tripped. And before I knew it, I was face down on the concrete sidewalk. Fortunately, my glasses broke and I scarred up a few areas, but I didn't require stitches. I got x-rayed over at the hospital, and I didn't break any bones. But that told me, hey, wait a minute, there's something wrong with my stability if I trip so easily. I never expected to trip that easily.
How old were you when that happened?
Probably in my early 80s or something
yeah.
like that. It was like a sign for me.
It's like, hey, start.
Something told me, hey, don't get cocky. You got to start working out and getting stability. So the combination of stability and loss of muscle mass in my legs in particular, and balance. Balance was very important, and balance is a function of strength in your skeletal muscles, not only in your legs, but
Your mind.
in your body, the
By
core.
everywhere. And also, it's a lot of mind stuff. It's a lot of focus. You have to focus on that.
You have to focus, you have to concentrate.
Yeah. It's not like an easy thing where you're just moving something. It's like, okay, I have to think. Okay, where's my body at? Where am I? Going?
So that's the reason I'm here, Ari.
Yes, and that's the reason I'm having you here. And you should know, Rob, when Yanko told me about you, I really wasn't taking new clients. And I still take clients here and there, but it's not really often I take new clients. But it's been, when you hear of a gentleman that's 89 years old and wants to work out, I want to make sure you're taken care of. I want to make sure I don't pass up on that. You know what I mean? And it's been so much fun. I've been enjoying training you immensely. And
Why is it fun?
why is it fun? First of all, let me talk about you for a second, Rob. We're talking.
Don't embarrass me, okay?
If I can, I'm going to tell you. Robert has such young energy. He's one of the youngest 89-year-olds I know. He's one of the youngest 70, whatever number it would be. The energy, the positivity, you're coming with a smile. It's so enjoyable to train you, and you're always up for the challenge. You don't give me a hard time. You're like, yeah, I think so. I think I can do it. It's such a It's such a positive experience. I have only good to say about you. It's been so incredible. I'm so glad I took that client.
Sweet.
So that's been amazing, and you really inspire me. I plan to work out until whenever, as long as I can imagine, and I really hope and plan to be as positive and happy as I get older, as I age. I want to try to keep that upbeat personality, and I think you're an inspiration to that. So I want to give you a big shout out for that, and a big thank you for allowing me to have the chance to be around you on such a basis.
It's mutual, my friend.
I'm glad you're enjoying.
Mutual.
Okay, so one thing before we wrap up, I do want to touch on. You were in Gaza at one point. Is that correct? Can I ask about that?
There's many untold stories that I have. That
Let's keep it short, but interesting.
My
What brought you to Gaza? Was it also research?
Okay. I was working. I'm trying to remember where I was at, but I think I was at the Surgeon General's office or something. This was back in 1989, and I had been working in tropical medicine with the Walter Reed Group.
With the what? What are they called?
The Walter Reed Group at the U.S. Army Institute of Infectious Diseases.
Okay, I do an Army. Okay.
In the Army. And make a long story short, my brother, I told you about my brother before.
Sure.
He was in charge of the U.S. Agency for International Development for research, HIV, malaria, and throughout all of continental Africa, all of Africa. That's a big, big job.
Wow.
And about that time, the Camp David Peace Accords came about. And someone had the bright idea that in order to get the Israelis talking to the Palestinians or talking to the Egyptians, he started easy. We started with Egypt and Israelis, Ben Gurion University talking to Ain Shams University, and they needed an American as a go-between catalyst because the Egyptian medical syndicate, which controls licensing in Egypt, will not allow an Egyptian doctor to talk to an Israeli. They're all fundamentalist Islams.
You were the guy?
They talked to me, and I talked to the Israeli.
That's hilarious.
Understand?
Yes.
That was acceptable. And eventually, I brought them together.
From whose end? Whose end was that the issue?
The issue was the Egyptian end.
Really? They didn't want to talk
to you? They didn't want the...
But since you were American, it was okay?
It was okay.
But they knew you were Jewish?
They knew I was Jewish.
And they were okay with that?
But when I went to Cairo many times, twice a year for many, many years, working on research projects in Cairo with hepatitis. In fact, we made very important discoveries there, which I don't have time to tell you about. I didn't tell you about some of my scientific background, but that's also big. And I got my Egyptian colleagues working, my Israeli colleagues, as long as the Egyptians didn't have to go to Israel for the joint meetings. We went to Sardinia. We went to Taba, which at that time was under Egyptian control. We went to Cairo. We never went to Tel Aviv. We never went to Ben Gurion University, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then what happened? They had the Camp David Peace Accords came in during my attempts to get the Egyptians and Israelis together, and they said, "Hey," he said, "Dr. Edelman, would you mind bonding to some physicians in the Gaza?"
Bonding mean what?
Bonding means intellectually involved with what's going on in Gaza.
Okay.
Because as part of the Camp David Peace Accords, they're trying to get the Palestinians talking to the Israelis. That's the whole purpose of the Camp David Peace Accords, to get one-on-one scientists talking to each other, and that will lead to bigger things.
Wow.
Try to get the scientists talking to each other. Well, in order to do that, I had to go to Gaza. I was introduced into Gaza. I went to Gaza. I met some of the head of the Palestinian Authority Health Ministry. I went to his house. I had tea in his Victorian mansion in Gaza. I even gave an hour lecture on cholera and diarrhea diseases to about 70 Palestinian physicians.
Were you ever scared at that time? It wasn't really a conflict.
I was never scared. I mean, you have to understand, the Muslims that I work with are high-level people. They regarded, in their own way, they regard the hospitality is central to Islamic society. They're very, very hospitable. They loved talking one-on-one now. They don't tell the Egyptian syndicate about it, but their personality are very sweet, gentle people. I find the Egyptians lovely to talk to. And I was always welcomed. When I went to the hotel in Cairo, which is a 4-star hotel, it was Friday afternoon, and I had to go for Shabbos. I kept Shabbos there. They didn't know what I was doing. So I tell them at the desk, I said, please do not call me for the next 24 hours. I will not be reachable. And the people behind the desk were young college graduates, mostly young people who were, and they, you don't want to be called? May I ask why you don't want to be called? I said, well, and I felt comfortable. I said, because I'm Jewish. You're Jewish? What is this? I said, because I keep the Jewish Sabbath. They knew what it was. Because they're Muslim. They keep their own Sabbath,
right.
which is Friday. So I said, would you like to learn more about it? They said, we would love to. So they put out all hands on deck. They had about 20 people gathered around the desk, behind the desk, and I lectured them on the Jewish Sabbath.
Are you a teacher at all?
I teach. I'm at the University of Maryland. I'm a professor of medicine.
Right now?
As we speak. I do research and teaching.
Oh, so when you say you go to the university, it's not to study or research, it's to teach?
I teach and do research both. I teach
Both at the
research
How often do you go to university nowadays?
about once a week.
Once a week.
Since I'm an emeritus professor, I still have my office, and they pay for my parking, which is big.
Oh, great. Yeah, don't give that up.
I don't get a wage. I'm doing what I would do normally, but I've cut back. And I help them doing dengue studies with malaria.
And which
dengue.
university is this?
University of Maryland School of Medicine.
Wow.
University of Maryland School of Medicine.
And you still do it today?
I still do it today. I've given many, many decades of lectures on how to conduct research.
So you're like semi-retired, not fully.
I'm semi-retired.
And the last question, we were going to wrap up, but now I'm right into it. Did you study anything on Corona? Did you have anything to do with that, like the research?
I helped the people that I mentored, which are young faculty, back in 1988, 89, when I first joined the university from Fort Detrick. I was recruited by the University of Maryland. So I switched from, and also at the NIH, I was at the NIH for 12 years, running a whole unit there. And I went to the University of Maryland. And so, I'm sorry, I lost track.
So did you have what to do with Corona? It was just mentoring?
Oh, yeah, we had, when the coronavirus first came about,
were you called? I want to know if they're like, we got to get Rob here.
Yeah.
Get him on deck.
I was part of the investigative team.
That's pretty cool.
And the people we tested some of the first coronavirus vaccines ever tested.
Really?
At the University of Maryland, because I was part of a Center for Vaccine Development and Global Health. That's what we do. And we do it in human volunteers. People who would like to volunteer, we give them money to compensate their time and effort. And it's all approved by the ethical committees at the University of Maryland. Right. And we did some of the original studies, this mRNA vaccine and the non-mRNA, the regular adenovirus vaccine with COVID. We did those studies along with other universities. There was a consortium of studies. We're not the only one, but we led the studies. We were the leaders of the consortium.
It's pretty cool, Rob. Got some cool accolades.
When I say we, by then I had already retired in 2018, okay?
So
this came 2 years after I retired, but I was
still dabbling.
I was still dabbling. I was still semi-called.
Really cool.
Because it was a national emergency. We needed to do it.
Amazing.
Tony Fauci and I are very good friends.
Oh, really?
He wanted to recruit me to handle all of this stuff on HIV. It's a long story. You'll find this is a very interesting side story. I said, Tony, I would love to, this is before I was recruited by the University of Maryland School of Medicine. I said, Tony, the only problem you have to know in order for me to take over the HIV program for the United States, this was literally funding research on HIV. This was back in 1982 when it was first discovered by Bob Gallo and others. He said, we'd like for you to interview and take over the research in this to try to discover what the cause is and do the research. I said, the only problem I have, Tony, is that I can't travel on Friday to Saturday. He says, why not? I says, because I keep the Jewish Sabbath. And he stopped talking to me. He looked at me, smiled. He says, Bob, he says, you remind me just like my Catholic bishop. He's a good Catholic, Italian Catholic boy. Tony is a good Italian Catholic boy. So that was cute. He says, okay, we'll let you off the hook. We'll get someone else to do it.
Wow. That's wild. Rob, you have a wild story. You know that, right? Are you aware of how crazy your story is?
I'm aware that I've been blessed. I know that. And I've been blessed with my family. I have a beautiful and large family. We just had a big birthday party for my wife and I, a 90th birthday party. She's older than I by 7 months, so she's 90, and I'm getting there. And we had a 90th birthday for both of us, and we had all of we had as many of our kids as we could, and our grandkids and our great-kids there. We filled up an entire assembly hall at Liberty
Amazing.
Center. We had well over 100 people there. It was just immediate family.
Wow.
And we had fun, and we
Amazing.
did games, and we had catered, we had brunch,
Amazing.
the whole thing.
Well, Rob.
So that's.
Yeah, we'll wrap up here, but I'm sure there's more to hear. Maybe
there's a
different
lot
time.
more, but
I
we don't have
believe
time
it.
for it.
But I do think you're an inspiration. I hope people will see how inspirational you are. I do thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm looking forward to continue to trade you on May of Esrim. I'm very much looking forward.
Let's see how far we go.
I know you. You're not going to stop. Thanks for coming on, Rob.
Okay, buddy.